Canvas training. Learn and grow.
Okay, let's begin with the Salesforce.com. So this slides that you have, okay, what we will do is we will just look through these slides first and I will be explaining these topics to you, but don't listen to what I'm explaining about these topics, okay? But don't really look at word by word over here. You can read this later at your leisure, okay? This will be a good reading material for you. Okay, this will be a fantastic reading material for you, which you can read it later. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take examples and I'm going to give you more information on what each of it is. All right. So first of all, the buzzword is cloud computing. Okay, so the buzzword is cloud computing over here. So first question is, what is cloud? What is the difference between internet and cloud? So let me give you a very surprising answer. Okay, both cloud and internet mean one and the same. A cloud is also a network of computers. Internet is also a network of computers. But why am I calling a cloud as a cloud, whereas internet as internet? What is the difference between internet and cloud? When I'm saying cloud and internet are both one and the same, both are networked set of computers. So let's say, for example, even internet is also a set of servers that are kept somewhere. So if you have to reach out to Google, you will type www.google.com, which is an address for a server. Or if you have to reach out to outlook.com, you type outlook.com and it goes to a particular server. And in cloud, we provision the servers. We have the servers. That is also a physical server sitting somewhere. But what is the biggest difference between an internet and a cloud? So the biggest difference between internet and cloud is that an internet is a free to use service. Internet is not owned by anybody, right? So is there an organization or is there a company that can claim that this is my internet, you guys have to pay for using the internet? Is someone saying that to you? Nobody claims internet as theirs and you don't pay for anything. If you have to pay for anything, you will pay for the services that you're taking from a particular company. Let's say if you want to watch Netflix, you will go to Netflix website on internet, that is free. But if you want to watch movies inside the Netflix, you pay the Netflix company for the movie service that they are providing you. But you're not paying for internet. You're also paying to the service provider to connect you to that internet. But for internet, you're not paying anything. All right. Whereas flip side, when you talk about a cloud is not free. You cannot connect free to Google Cloud. You cannot connect free to Microsoft Cloud. You cannot connect free to IBM Bluemix. You cannot connect free to AWS. You cannot connect free to Azure, right? So the cloud is something that is owned by an organization. A cloud is something that is owned by an organization and you got to pay for the services. So when you are paying for the services, how you pay for it is what is going to come in. So that is where your pay per use is going to come. That's what your pay per use is going to come. So if you use 10 hours of service, you will pay for 10 hours of service. If you use 1000 gigs of data or storage space, you will only pay for 1000 gigs of storage space. All right. So that's how you will be paying for the things. Or you can pay a lump sum fee and you can do it. That is also there. So this is one of the advantage that is there. And you don't need to depend on anybody. Okay, if you take a cloud license by paying some amount, you don't need to depend on anybody for your server. Let's say you got to, like, a new employee has joined, he is joining from, if you take the current situation, if an employee joins from West Coast and the organization is situated in East Coast, you don't need to be there physically. Proximity is not required. You can be anywhere. So the cloud admin may sit in somewhere in the middle in Texas, and then he can immediately provision, he can spin up a machine and then send the credentials to the new employee who is sitting in West Coast, and he can connect to that. And if the other guy is also a tech person, he can give a sub-admin license where the person sitting in West Coast can spin up his own machines, which you call it as self-service provisioning, Okay. Then you also have the elasticity. Okay. Now, let's say, for example, if you take 4th of July, the Independence Day sale, or if you look at Thanksgiving sale, or you look at the Christmas Day sale or the holiday season sale, whenever the season sales are there, your e-commerce sites load will go very heavy. Okay. And sometimes when I was there in US, there was never e-commerce available at that point in time. The only e-commerce website that I know when I was there in US was eBay. There are no Amazons or there are no other things. It's only eBay for us. So any Christmas sales, holiday sales, we used to look at the Sunday US Today paper, and whatever the deals that you have over there, we used to look at those deals and we used to shop for those deals. But now it's not like that. So for those deals, people used to queue up. Even they're doing it right now, but nevertheless, that was much more bigger during those days. So people used to queue up way early in the morning to get into the store to buy the products which are on off. So the same thing is happening, but it's a little different. People are crowding up on the cloud, not on the physical store. So on a regular basis, if you have 1,000 hits a hour, so when I say 1,000 hits an hour, thousand people log into your application in 60 minutes. But during those sale, there may be a way where 1,000 people may hit your machine server in 2-3 minutes itself. They don't wait for 1 hour. So that time the server gets very heavy intake of load, and then the processor may not be in position to handle that load, and finally the server crashes down. So, and then if that happens on a sale day, it is one of the biggest losses for the organization. So the organizations cannot afford to maintain or get their servers down on a sale day. So what is that we are supposed to do? We need to have enough number of servers. Okay, we need to have enough number of servers to ensure that we meet the load. But how many times you have that load? You will have the load on 4th of July sale, maybe on a Thanksgiving sale, maybe on a holiday season sale, maybe on a Christmas Day sale, or maybe some other President's Day sale, Boxing Day sale. So maybe 5-6 events where you have extreme loads. So just to maintain these extreme loads, I cannot maintain 10 servers on an year-long basis. So if I calculate that I need to have 10 servers to meet the sale load, I just cannot pay for those 10 servers all through the year and then meet the sale. That becomes a kind of a very huge financial burden for me. So what is that I'm going to do? I'm going to tell the cloud service provider that, hey, these are the timings where I don't want you to give me the server right up front. Look at the number of hits. If the number of hits goes beyond a particular threshold, then immediately add one server and let the load be taken over by that server. If the number of hits cross beyond this range, add one more server, You call this as elasticity. So as the number of hits increases, okay, new servers will be provisioned and then attached to the existing server so that the load is distributed across multiple servers. And slowly, when you start the sale, you will have huge load. But as the sale is progressing, when the sales are getting over, the load gets down. So when the load goes beyond a particular threshold, please remove one server. When the load goes beyond another threshold, please remove. Okay. So these are the good things where I can only pay to the servers when I use them. That is the pay per use that we are talking about. And the elasticity is the feature where you go on adding servers when your load increases, reduce the servers when your load decreases. Okay. And then here you see this workload resilience. So what happens is generally they don't tell us, okay, they don't tell us, but what majority of the cloud service providers do is like they will have multiple data centers is what you call them. They have multiple data centers, and let's say I buy a cloud license from a X data center, or I don't buy it from a data center. They'll take down my details, and then when they take down my details, what happens is they will look at my address and they look at my company location and all the other things, and then whatever is the closest data center, they'll provision that for me. Now also behind the scenes they will be having a kind of a camouflaged server that will be running. So just in case if this data center is down, immediately your services will be shifted to the backup server so that your services are not getting affected. So these backup servers, all these things, you call them as redundant resources. So they are useful redundancy, which are again like they do it, but at a very minimal cost. And then here, a migration flexibility. So if you read this, organizations can move certain workloads to or from the cloud or to different cloud platforms as desired, or automatically far better cost savings. So in this, I always say that migration flexibility is there, but if it is kind of a cloud between your organization and the public cloud, it is fine. But if you have to, if let's say, for example, if your entire application is running on AWS, if you have to move it onto Azure, or if your entire application is running on Azure, if you have to move it onto Google Cloud Platform, it's there, it is possible, but it is a very, very tedious task. That is the only little black spot in terms of cloud thing. Migration is possible, but it is a little tedious. That's the only black spot that is there. Now here, if you look at infrastructure as a service, okay, so here you're looking at three things: IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. Now, if I have to showcase this, okay, there is another picture which I always use to show this, okay. So I'll just go to Google and I'll show that to you. So this is the picture that I'm talking about. Okay. So if you look at this, so here there are four things. One is on-premise, which is the traditional way. The next one is IaaS, which is the earlier options that we have. Then you have PaaS, SaaS. So IaaS is infrastructure as a service, PaaS as a platform as a service, SaaS is software as a service. Okay. So if you look at the on-premise application, everything, okay, everything is managed by myself only. Okay. Everything is managed myself. Okay, I don't literally depend on anybody. I am going to provision everything for me. Okay, so let me show you a picture of that. Okay, so if you look at this on premise, I'm going to do everything all by myself. I got to do the networking, I got to maintain the storage, I got to maintain the servers, I've got to maintain the virtualization. Everything has to be maintained by myself. But when I say infrastructure as a service, when I say infrastructure as a service, I can request that, okay, fine, you give me this particular configuration servers, and then the machine will be provisioned for me by the service provider, and he will give me. And then on top of that particular machines, I need to install my OS, I need to install my middleware, I need to install my runtime environment. then data and the applications, all that has to be maintained by me. And then if you go in for a platform as a service, which is PaaS, okay, so for the PaaS, till the data, okay, data and the application has to be maintained by you, and then everything else will be shared, okay, everything else will be shared by the service provider only. Now when you look at SaaS, okay, software as a service will provide everything for you. Okay, so your Salesforce falls into the IaaS category. Okay, so if you look at IaaS and PaaS, there are a majority of the companies that fall under both. Okay, there are majority of the companies that fall under both. Okay, so some of the names which are very commonly known to us are AWS, Azure. These are the two organizations that provide you IaaS and PaaS service. Apart from Salesforce, so all the apps that are provided to you by Google, Google Photos, Google Drive, Google Mail, everything is a software as a service. You don't do anything, you just log into that and you work with it, right? Apart from that, your Zoom, that's a software as a service. Your Cisco WebEx, that's software as a service. Your GoToMeeting, that is software as a service. All these things are software as services. We are using them day in and day out, right? So there are three types of clouds, your public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid clouds. Okay. Now, when I say public cloud, your all the examples that I gave. So your Gmail is a public cloud. Okay. So your Gmail is a public cloud, your Google Photos is a public cloud, or Google Drive is a public cloud. So you're not paying for anything. Okay, you're not paying for anything, and you're getting some dedicated amount of space over there. But if you want to buy the services, you can go ahead and buy the services for additional space. Okay, then you have private clouds. Okay, now when I say private cloud, okay, I am buying my own space. Okay, when I'm saying private cloud, I am buying my own space, and I will have a dedicated IP addresses for me. I have a dedicated IP addresses for me, and I will be responsible for ensuring that I give those details to my employees, and my employees will connect to those specific locations using the IDs that are provided to them. Okay, so then you have the third one, which is a hybrid cloud, which is a mix of private cloud and public cloud. Okay. All right, let's move to the next one. So coming down to the CRM, what is CRM? Okay, CRM is customer relationship management. Okay, now here, when you say customer relationship management, okay, you are not interacting only with customers. Though the name says customer relationship management, okay, there are a lot more assigned to it. Okay, so it's just not managing a relationship with the customer. First thing, if I want you to concentrate on the picture that is over here. Okay, now if you look at this, remove this orders from the picture. Okay, remove the orders from the picture. When you buy a license for Salesforce, okay, you are expected to do a customer relationship management. You are expected to do a customer relationship management. But until unless you have a customer, what is that relationship that you are going to manage? So there is nothing like a relationship that can be established without having a customer. So first thing is I need to acquire a customer. So if I have to acquire a customer, okay, if I have to acquire a customer, the first and the foremost thing that I have to, do is that I need to ensure that I do a campaign of my products. Whatever that I want to sell, I need to do a campaign of those products. Okay, so how do I do the campaign of those products? With the help of my marketing team. So I have a marketing team that takes care of all the campaigns. And again, if I have to do the marketing, I got to invest a lot of money into it. So how much money did I invest? How many leads were generated? How many things were there? All these things have to be managed by my marketing application. Once the leads are generated, your sales application picks it up, and then they will talk to the leads, and then what they do is they will try to convince the customer. Until unless, see, you look at a nice laptop in an exhibition and then you just say, okay, I'm interested in this product. You will express your interest. Now once you express your interest, it's not that you want to buy it. You just expressed your interest at that particular point in time. But maybe you may not be interested to buy that at this point in time. So when your request goes as a lead, okay, the salesperson is going to come, the salesperson is going to talk to you and then demo the product to you and try to convince you to buy the product. So that is the responsibility of salespeople who are having access to the sales application over here. Once in the sales application, once the customer is convinced, an order is placed. And once the order is placed, the product will be delivered to the customer. And once the product is being used by the customer, there may be some glitches or there may be some issues that might arise. That's where you have one of the most important thing, which is given as support in your picture, but actually this is a service application in Salesforce. Okay. So in a nutshell, okay, you have three applications in Salesforce which are given to you, when you buy a license. Okay, but it's not that you get these applications. It's not that you get these applications full blown. They're only the partial functionality. If you have to buy the full blown licensing, you got to pay for the entire license. So it becomes when you pay for the license of marketing, it becomes a marketing cloud. Pay for the license of sales application, it becomes a sales cloud, and similarly a service cloud. So you have various clouds that are there, but the most important things are sales, service, and marketing clouds. Okay, so in a nutshell, what are the functionalities that your CRM system can do? Okay, so CRM system can work with your customers, can work with workflow automation, can work with lead management, can look at analytics, can look at marketing, can look at regular reports. Your business reports are different from analytics. Analytics are something that you did. What was my sale this year versus my sale last year? What was my return ratio of the products that are purchased during the sale in 2020 versus 2019? Or what are my first quarter sales versus the second quarter sales? Okay, so those kind of details, if you have to do, you will be using analytics. Whereas if you want to say what are the sales numbers for Eastern region during the month of February, what are the sales numbers for sales rep Venkat, what are the sales numbers for Sanji, what are the sales numbers for someone else? So if you have to get those kind of reports, they are my business reports. So all these things can be taken care by my CRM application. Okay, so the Salesforce is a CRM application, and it is undisputed market leader. It's undisputed market leader, and it is started in 1999 by Mark Benoff. So in fact, Mark Benoff is an employee, or he's a director in Oracle Systems. And when Siebel has started, he was supposed to be an employee in Siebel, but for some reasons, he was never a part of Siebel. If he was a part of Siebel, probably the history would have been different. But for some reason, I don't know. People used to tell that this guy should have worked with Siebel, Thomas Siebel, who started off the world's first CRM software called Siebel software. Okay, so Salesforce is a cloud-based CRM Salesforce is a cloud-based CRM, and a lot of people are currently embracing Salesforce. A lot of people are embracing Salesforce. When I say people, they are companies. Okay, when I say people, take them as companies. So a lot of organizations are embracing Salesforce, and CRM is picking up these days. And Salesforce has done a very clever thing. So Salesforce has started something called as Salesforce.org, and they started, like, we already have these initiatives as CSR, corporate social responsibility. So under corporate social responsibility, Salesforce has licensed all the federal government agencies to use Salesforce for free. So any Salesforce license, any Salesforce application can be used by federal government for free. That's what they have done. So that is one thing. And for schools also, they are giving it for free. So because of that, there were large federal organizations that are coming up for implementations, and a lot of smaller players are bidding for them. And then a lot of jobs are getting generated in US for the Salesforce implementation. All right. So there are two roles in Salesforce. One is an admin role and a developer role. Okay. So what do you do is, like, if you have to build, like, Salesforce is already an application, and if you want to use that application as it is, okay, if you want to use that application as it is, and if you want to do minor modifications, okay, if you want to do minor modifications to that particular application, like, nothing is being changed, you are just adding something new. Or if you want to add some workflows, like when a customer, when a sales record is created, you have to send an email to the salesperson who is associated with that particular sale. So that is a workflow. Okay. If a salesperson is trying to give, if a salesperson is trying to give more than 20% discount to a customer, then it needs to go to the approval. That is an approval process. Or when a service request has come in, okay, for servicing of a laptop, and this request has come from the West Coast. So this particular service request has to be assigned to a particular service rep in the West Coast. So who is that person? Where is this location? All that has to be computed against certain rules, which are my assignment rules. And similarly, a person can only see, okay, a person can only see certain amount of data. He should not see any data that is created by others. Okay, he should not see any data created by others, or he should see only the data created by him. Okay, even though he is not a part of my team, I want to show this particular data to that particular person. How can I do that? All that will come under my organization wide defaults and sharing rules. So here I am not writing anything new. I am using all the features that are given to me in Salesforce. In other words, I am using all declarative rules to modify the functionality of my application. Okay, I am using all the declarative rules for my application. Okay, so that process is called configuration. That process is called configuration. And then if I have to add additional functionality, okay, if I have to add additional functionality, if I have to build something new functionality, then I will be doing customization. So for the functionality level, I'll be using Apex classes, triggers. Then for the UI, I will be using Visual Force pages. And then for responsive UI, I will be using Salesforce Lightning. So all these things, I'm going to use it. Okay. So all these things we are going to talk as a part of our classes to come. Okay. So there are multiple editions that are here. There are multiple editions that are here. And this is a good read. That's it. So nothing really interesting or important over here. You just need to understand what are the licenses that you have. So you have professional edition, unlimited edition, enterprise edition, developer edition. So the edition which we will be concentrating will be not even a developer edition. It will be a subset of the developer edition, which is called as a training org. So we need to get those training orgs for us, and we will see how we will be doing the training org. Okay. Now there is something called as a sandbox. Okay. There is something called as a sandbox. Now, what is the sandbox? Now, in an environment, okay, in an enterprise application development environment, okay, so there will be multiple users. There will be multiple users who will be working on multiple instances of Salesforce developing certain things. So everybody should be working on a controlled manner. And then, so all the developers will be given an instance which is known as a developer sandbox. Everybody will be given an instance known as a developer sandbox. And also there is a developer pro sandbox. So what is the difference between a developer sandbox and a developer pro sandbox? Okay. There is no difference between a developer sandbox and a developer pro sandbox. Only difference is that developer sandbox can only take 200 MB of metadata, and then whereas a developer pro sandbox can take up to 1 gig of metadata over there. And a partial copy sandbox, the partial copy sandbox will be able to have all the data that is there inside the full sandbox, but the size of it is limited over here. Okay. So again, here he's just giving us an example as test.salesforce.com, but the thing is, until unless you buy enterprise license, you won't get all these sandboxes. All right. So login.salesforce.com will take you to your production environment. Login.salesforce.com will take you to your production environment. But these are the things that comes way end of the Salesforce training. These are the things that will come to you way at the end of the Salesforce training. Okay, so we will talk about this at a later point in time. Okay, again, you have Salesforce licenses that are there. So we will park this slide. Okay, we will park this slide at this point in time. So because there are few things that I need to talk about when I'm going to talk about a Salesforce license. Okay, but I don't want to talk about this Salesforce license at this point in time. Okay, it would end up confusing you. So I am going to talk about these Salesforce licenses when I do a specialized topic. Okay, when I do a specialized topic, when I'm doing the admin thing. Okay, so don't worry, you can read through it. You can just read it as if you're reading a Dan Brown novel. That's it, nothing more than that. But I'm going to explain these things with an example in one of our later sessions. Okay. Now, company or organization setup. Okay, company or organization setup. Now, what is this company and organization setup? Okay, that is one thing that you need to understand. Now, let's say, for example, now I have an organization. Okay, so let's say this is my organization, and I call this as ABC Inc. All right. So when I have this organization ABC Inc., okay, I need to install Salesforce. Okay. So I need to install, I purchased a Salesforce license. Okay. I purchased a Salesforce license. Now, till now, my organization is running pretty smooth. Okay, till now my organization is running pretty smooth, whatever may be the reasons. Okay, but now when I'm installing Salesforce, okay, when I'm installing Salesforce, I should tell the application, the Salesforce application per se, I should tell, okay, what are my business hours? So from what time? So open, close. So what are my open close timings? Okay, what are my open close timings? What are my holidays? Okay, and then what is my currency? Okay, is it a dollar? Is it a euro? Or is it rupee? Whatever is it. What is the currency that I'm using? Okay, am I using English US, English UK, or am I using some other languages? What are the languages that I'm using? Okay, and then I have to define all these things inside my company profile. Why? Because I'll tell you a reason why. Now I say my organization opens up at 9 o'clock and my organization closes at 5 o'clock. This is my open close timings. Okay. And then tomorrow there may be a product that may be under warranty. Okay. There may be a product that is under warranty, which is having some issues. And that particular owner of the product, if he calls me up somewhere around 6 p.m. in the evening and nobody picks up the phone, and then he cannot sue me, okay, stating that, hey, I called up these guys at 6 p.m. Nobody picked up my phone and my product is not working. Because of that product not working, I am at a loss of so much dollars. This guy cannot sue me because I have very clearly defined that my opening and closing hours are 9 to 5. Anything before this is there. So I can specifically showcase that these are my working hours. Okay. So when I do that, I have all the details that are put up over here. Nobody can call the company for a service request on a holiday. What are the list of holidays that are there? I have to define. Okay. And then again, these are the currencies in which I'm going to do my business. Okay. Now, there is one more thing that I have to tell you. Let's say, for example, ABC Inc. has got an office in US. It has an office in UK. It has an office in India. Okay. And then in Europe, I will also put. Okay. In US, it buys everything or it sells. It does business in dollars. In UK, it does the thing in pounds. In India, it is going to do it in rupees. And in Europe, it is going to work with euros. Now, when my organization is working with four types of currencies, my organization is working with four types of currencies. At the end of the year, how am I going to say that these are my sales? I cannot say ABC Inc. has done this much business in US, has done this much business in UK, has done this much business in India, has done this much business in Europe. No, they will not announce their company results as like that. They will say ABC Inc. headquartered at this has earned this much of profits. So there is something known as a company currency. So they will say company currency is dollar. So what happens is whatever the sales that are there, this company currency is used for giving you the annual sales reports and all the other things. So all the sales will get converted into dollars and then they will be announcing the results using this company currency. So that's the company organization setup and then company profile. All right. So thank you guys. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Jan Bass Training. Learn and grow.